Good evening and welcome to tonight's webinar. My name is Adam and I'll be your moderator. We're joined by Matt Kunzler, who will be providing an overview of the new Medit i700 intraoral scanner. Tonight's webinar is also sponsored by Medit. If there are any questions, please add them into the Q&A section and we'll reply via email within 2 business days. And Henry Schein is not offering CE credit for viewing or attending this presentation live or on demand. Matt, thanks for being with us.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining the webinar today. My name is Matt Kunzler. I am a digital advisor for Henry Schein Dental. I've been with Henry Schein Dental since 2010, working with CAD/CAM products, digital impressions, computer networks, and all things technology in the office. Most recently, the 3D printers have made a big jump into dentistry, and so we'll have a quick few minutes on that as well today. As an overview of what we will be speaking about today, we're going to go through the Medit scanner, the i700. Talk a little bit about the hardware, maybe some differences between its predecessor, the i500, and today's i700. Some of the features of the new hardware. We're also going to be talking about the Medit Link software, how to set up a case, do some things like that. We're going to do a lot of hands-on today. So we'll be diving into the software. We will also be looking at hands-on with 3D printing. So I hope you're excited. After the software, we're going to talk about the scanning process. I do have a live video of scanning someone live. We will also scan for crown and bridge today on a model. We will talk about software workflows. Again, scanning for crown and bridge, and we will come to our conclusion. So I'm thinking anywhere between 30, 45 minutes, and I hope you enjoy the content. So first thing is the Medit hardware. As we look at the hardware itself, here's the scanner. The one new feature is the scanner cable itself is detachable. And this is a really nice advantage over the predecessor, the i500. Most of the time when a scanner does break or does have a problem, it does have something to do with the cable itself. And so now with there being a replaceable cable in the field, all you need is an extra cable rather than having to send the scanner out for repair and costing you time, costing you money, costing you all sorts of things when your equipment doesn't work properly. So a field repairable cable is a great advantage and one that I can't speak highly enough. Okay, the other thing that is different from this version, from the past version, is when I scan the mandibular arch, I have my scanner tip facing down. You can see this is the top with the button and the joystick. And when I scan for the maxillary arch, I can turn that tip upside down. Now, the advantage here is, and I'll show it to you when we are looking at the video, is I get to keep my same grip, which seems like a little thing. But honestly, when it comes to repetition and so forth, I'd much rather be able to have a consistent experience rather than it being all over the place or having to remember what I'm doing. So just little things, but I really like it. The other thing is, if you have a computer with USB-C, then it plugs directly into the computer without a power source. Again, a small thing, but the fact that you don't have to have a hub of some kind in the middle and then plugging into electricity to power the scanner is really a nice advantage. Makes it very easy to either go from operatory to operatory this way, or just at least not have all the clutter of all the other stuff in the way, or having to find a place for all the other stuff. Also, less things to troubleshoot. That's always a good thing. So I'll plug my scanner back in and get it ready for later. Okay, so the other thing that I wanted to talk about is, the system requirements. The system requirements for each scanner, and it doesn't matter if it's this one or if it's another one, making sure you meet the minimum requirements for a laptop is incredibly important. It really does affect the way the scanner works. And so here are the system requirements for the Medit i700, and obviously as a reseller of Medit, we have a laptop that was specifically designed to work with it, and that would be part of your package. Okay, so now that we've looked into the hardware a little bit, let's go ahead and talk about the software. Well, no better way than to open it up and let's go ahead and dig into it. So this right here is our case box. Our case box is going to be where all of our scans are stored. And we can sort them by patient name. We can sort them by last modified date. We can sort them any which way, scanning date, an original scanning date. So whatever you're comfortable with, you can go ahead and sort this list by. Now, as your list grows, obviously it's going to grow quite extensively. You can go ahead and search by name, whatever, to find your patients. Okay, so this is where they're stored. The order box is going to be where you go after you send to the lab and you see whether it's pending, canceled, rejected, accepted, shipped, or case completed. But all of the cases that you send are here. One thing to note about this software is it is cloud-based. Cloud-based is a wonderful thing. As we get into the video of me scanning, you'll see that I scan on a laptop. That's not the computer I'm running from right now. All I had to do when I got home to my home base here was go to that computer where Medit link is stored and installed, and I have access to that scan. I don't have to export. I don't have to do any of that stuff. It's all done for me. It's very seamless. It's very, very easy to use. That is one thing that I absolutely love about Medit link software. So this is your order box. Case Talk. This is your free way to be able to speak with your laboratory. There's all sorts of ways to use Case Talk, but an effective, HIPAA compliant, cloud-based way to talk to your peers, to talk to the laboratories about cases that you're working on. AppBox. Now, one of Medit's great parts of Medit, the company, is they want to work with whoever wants to work with them. So there's all this software that's been created and developed and is free to you to use. Smile design software, temporaries, model builder. We're going to jump into model builder and we're going to put together the scans that were taken. And then I'm going to show you how to get them prepared for 3D printing. And we'll go through that process. Medit design, again, formerly known as Medit compare, being able to take two images and overlay them on top of each other for cusp wear, tissue loss, tooth movement, being able to track those things. Formlabs integration, Medit ortho simulation, on and on and on. I don't want to go too far, but needless to say, this list of these apps and integrations continue to grow, especially with the popularity of the scanner. So you can see this long list. And there's so much that really we're not going to be able to dive into all of this stuff today, but I'm going to highlight some of the main ones that I think you'll really like. Impression scan is also a neat one. In case you do have to take an impression, you can scan that impression, turn a negative into a positive in the digital world, and use that and send it to your laboratory. So that's a good one. Okay, let's go back to my presentation. And I kind of skipped over this. This is my dog. And we took this picture. We were planting plants in the backyard. You can see she was helping us dig the hole. So I thought that was fun. Okay, next slide. So we've talked about the hardware. We've talked about the software. Let's talk about the scanning process. Now I have a video of me scanning my son. It is a live scan. He is not a patient of any kind, as I am not a doctor of any kind. But this video is going to help us, understand the process of scanning. So as we watch the video together, you'll notice I go into the mouth, I turn the scanner on. I'm not turning the scanner on and then going into the mouth. You do that, and there's a chance you capture the cheek, the tongue, the lip, and now you've started off in a poor way. So we want to scan as efficiently as possible. Start in the mouth, turn the scanner on, and then proceed. You'll notice I did the whole occlusal surface first. You'll notice that coming right up right now, I'm coming to cross the front of the arch. You can see how quickly this is going. I also learned after this that the computer I was using actually isn't even the one they recommend. And the one that they recommend really captures even more information at one time. But you can see it's not stalling, it's not stuttering or anything like that. So now I have scanned, and I'm not the fastest scanner in the world. I try to make it as complete as possible. I will scan the occlusal surface. Then I take a 45-degree angle at the, making sure that I capture all of the incisal edges and some of the buccal wall at the same time. And then I finish that whole buccal wall very parallel to make sure I'm getting interproximals and to make sure that I am getting as much information as possible. And then the lingual is one single swoop. It captures the lingual incredibly well. Now, one thing I will say is, and something I'm not quite proficient at, the scanner itself has a joystick on top. And if you go into contactless mode or touchless mode, you can use the joystick to go from one arch to the next. You'll notice I flipped that scanner tip upside down there. I get to keep the scanner in my same position. Remember, I mentioned that earlier. I like that a lot. Had I been more proficient with the scanner, I could have just clicked and then moved on with the joystick. I'm not that good at it yet. So I just figured I would go to the mouse and move on manually. So same thing on the lower. I am coming through and scanning the occlusal surface first. I am now doing the lingual second. You can see that I did that whole lingual pass very quickly. I am doing my 45-degree angle, making sure I have all cusp tips and a little bit of the buccal wall at the same time. I roll very parallel. This is getting my tissue. This is getting my interproximals. And again, this is how I scan, and it doesn't matter what scanner I'm scanning with. Again, some are going to be faster scanners than I am. I scan as quickly as I can, but more importantly than fast, because it's fast, you can see it's complete. And I don't want to have to go back too often for more unless I really have to. Okay, so you can see there's my scan on the upper and lower. I'm going to do a quick check on it, make sure I have everything I need, which I'm good. And we are going to move on to the bite. You'll notice my handsome son there, very little resemblance. He is mine. I had him tested. Very, very cute kid. He's my model for today. Usually it's my wife, if you've seen any of my other videos. My wife was out of town, and so I looked for a new guinea pig, and there he is. All right, so scanning the buccal, you can see there that the software will pin the bite for you. On a full arch, I'm going to scan both sides, both the right and left side for occlusion. The more information you give it, more accurate information you give it, the better it's going to simulate your bite. And so there you go. You can see there, it chimed real quick. I'm good. I'm still going to capture that quadrant for the occlusion. Again, the more accurate information you give it, it can't hurt. So even though it could pin the bite in just a couple of seconds, I still want to give it a little bit more, make sure it's as accurate as possible. Okay, and then you go from there. That's how you scan. So we're going to go now. There's your scanning process. Hopefully that helps you see a live case of what that looks like. You know, it's fast, it's accurate, and it works really, really well. So here we are, Medit software workflows. There are tons. And again, this goes back to that app box. The types of treatment that you can do, what you can do with the scans after you have taken the scan, what you can do with it is incredible. Medit face scan is great. You can pair it with all sorts of different face scans that are available to you. Medit crown fit, all these things are great. We're going to get into the software here again in just a second. But one thing I want to talk about also, because what we're going to start with when we go in is going to be scanning for a model and then 3D printing it. So what's great about this is it's not a closed system. You are able to scan and then print with a variety of options. So here we are, we have for us, Henry Schein, these are our three main printers that we provide, Sprint Ray, Formlabs, and Desktop Health. Each of them have their uniqueness about them, uniqueness, I think that's a word. So they have unique things about them. The Desktop Health with their most recent Einstein printers have some great features. Sprint Ray just came out with their S series. Formlabs just came out with their Plus series. So if you've looked at 3D printers in the last 6 months, let me just tell you, pretty much everything has changed. So, and changed for the better. These are all advancements for each of these systems. So what I want to do now is let's go ahead and go back into the software and talk about some of what I can do. So I'm going to come back to my case box and I'm going to bring up the scan of Colin. And so a couple things. So what is really just great about the software, guys, and I'm going to show you when we get into scanning for the crown and bridge as well, what I'm talking about. You notice this is a base. You can decide how big of a base you want, how small of a base you want. You can determine if you want it hollowed or if you want it solid. This would be an example of a solid base with, I think, 30 millimeters of extra resin. This is the fact that it's all done in the software right after the scan is taken. It's game changing if you have a 3D printer. In the past, you would take a scan that is basically like this. Let me go ahead and turn this off and this off, and we'll go back to the raw data. Oh, darn it. Well, maybe I won't. Well, let's see how long it takes. Let's see if it'll come down quick enough. Basically, what we're talking about is it's like the chocolate shell of a chocolate dipped cone. You have this material right here, but it's hollow and it's thin and it's not printable. And so what you would have to do is repair that model or fix that model and make it solid. And you would have to go into a third-party software to do that. And the fact that you no longer have to do that and it's all done in the software for you is amazing. It really is. It's when it comes to 3D printing, what a great thing to be able to see. And let's see if I can see the shell of this now. Let me go ahead and hide this. There you go. So this is what I'm talking about. It's like that thin chocolate layer on a chocolate dipped cone. And if you were to bring this into any 3D printer software, they'd say, what are you, crazy? I can't print this. And then they would have to fix it or repair it in that software. Or again, we can do that all here, which is amazing. Not to mention, can we fix it here? But we can go ahead and add bases to it. We're going to do that next. And then we're also going to be able to label it. So why don't we do that together, since 3D printing is such a hot topic? Let's put a base on this and let's, and I can actually go through it with you, or I can show it to you. Let's go ahead and close that one down and I can just show it to you. So here is my base. Nope, that's not what I wanted. No, let's go ahead and do our model builder. So we're going to go into model builder here and let's just do it together. It's very simple. And what's nice about their apps also is it says, hey, if you don't know how to use this, let's go ahead and web page. I'll teach you how to use it before you start. Some of it's fairly intuitive. You don't really even need that. So what we're doing is we're just making sure that the maxilla and the mandible are correct. We confirm that. Next thing is to come over to area designation. So you see this big base, I don't want to use that area. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in and print this area, and I'm going to start over. I'm going to go ahead and clear that. And then I'm going to do it myself. I'm going to make this big. Oops. Let's go down a little bit here. Clear all, there we go. I want to be able to paint it myself. So we're going to come in just like this. And you'll see why in just a second. Because we're going to create the space all over again. So I'm just going to tell it, these are the teeth. This is the tissue I want to keep. Again, this process is much more complicated in many of the other softwares. So again, I'm very happy that they've made this fairly simple. And we're just making sure that it understands what we want to keep. Okay. All right. So maybe even just a hair more on the tissue. All right. We'll do that side. Now let's do this side. Let's see if we can go a little faster. All right. And I'm not talking because I'm distracted with doing this, so I apologize. All right, there you go. So this is what I want to keep, okay? And now I'm going to go ahead into our next section. Let's go ahead. This is if I wanted to die cut it. I don't want to do that. Alignment, here's our alignment mode coming right up. Okay, so you can see we want to bring this into alignment. Oops. Okay, so we're just lining this up here. See, just kind of doing our cusp tips. Bring it here. And that's pretty close. You can see where some of these breakthroughs are, so we might need to just adjust this just a hair. Just a little bit. There we go. Okay, something like that. And then we will move on to our next step, which is our actual base. Like, how big of a base do I want? I can make a very big one. I can make a small one. So basically, I want one big enough that I can at least get a label on. So there we are. There's going to be big enough that I label it. And I'll click next. So there's my base. And now we're going to go into our articulator section. Go ahead and click next. We're going to remove overlapping from the bottom. So again, the software, you can't really screw this up. It's going to tell you step by step what to do. And there is our base. And this is our articulator. And I think that's really neat. Again, a simple way to go through and do that. And then from here, all we have to do is confirm it. And then we have this to now export as an STL file. And this is now part of the patient's record. So if you ever needed to reprint this, now you can see, I can obviously close that, or I can look at them one at a time. You can see I can come in one at a time. This is all part of the patient's record now. Really, really stinking cool, if you ask me. Now, from here, remember, I'm able to 3D print that. In this case, I'm going to use a sprint ray. And here is my rendering. So this is my virtual build platform. All I had to do was import it in. It was already repaired. It was already based. It was all ready to go. And that's what you get. So I have my 3D printed model. I use Sprint Ray for this one. I washed it. I left it on the build platform because I just think it's cool to look at. So there you are. There's what we were expecting. There's what we're getting. And then the wash station from Sprint Ray is incredible. All you have to do is put that build platform in the wash station in 11 minutes. It has been through 2 washes and a dry cycle. And in fairness, the dry cycle works pretty good, but it still needs to drip dry a little bit. But I will tell you, great system, very, very, as far as the workflow is concerned, very efficient. All right, so that is a little bit about the software. One of the modules being Model Builder. It's probably my favorite because I do enjoy 3D printing stuff. And it has made my life a lot easier, Okay, as we go back to our presentation. So we got done talking about the scanning process. Saw me scan my handsome son, Colin. We talked about some software workflows, one of them being the Model Builder. Let's talk about scanning for crown and bridge. And this is a great one. I have a couple of tools that I want to show to you that I think are difference makers. It's not exclusive to Medit. But it's nice that they have them also. So I will show you what those are. right now. So let's dive in. This is the same dog when we first got her. She's always been just a complete sweetheart. And this is the only picture. I should have found a picture of her jumping into a pool or something, but this is all I could find on short notice. So we're going to go back into the software now. And here we are. Okay, we're going to go back to our case box. We are going to do a new case. We are going to use our test patient. So if your patient has already been in here, you can just assign it again. And we are going to register and scan. So I'm only going to scan the lower quadrant because you've seen scanning for a full arch now. So I'm just going to scan the lower quadrant. And we're going to tell this that we're going to be doing you can't see that very well, it looks like, prep on tooth number 14. It is a crown. We do want an anatomic restoration. Zirconia, whatever your preference is. Gold, of course, you'd need a 3D printed model for this one. Or I guess there's other ways to do it, but not many people are milling gold, as you can imagine. Zirconia, multi-layered zirconia. Of course, there's Emax, et cetera, et cetera. So we're going to say we want this restoration made out of zirconia. And because everything looks like A2, we're going to select A2 as the shade. And then we are going to go ahead and get ready to scan this guy. So it's telling me that my scanner is been calibrated recently. So that's good. It wants me to scan the upper arch first. So I am going to go ahead and since we're scanning the upper arch, yep, we are scanning the upper arch. Let me go ahead and turn my tip upside down. Some of the tools in here, down here, if you have shiny restorations or gold or metal, there is a metal scan feature. In fairness, it does a good job. My son has a lingual bar for his retainer. And it scanned it without any problem at all. Wouldn't even need that filter. A shiny gold restoration side by side, maybe two side by side, two gold onlays, you're going to have to take a little bit more time with and turn that filter on. Again, here's your impression scan, HD scan, a slider scale for depth. So I can scan at a normal depth, or if I'm going deep, I have to turn that up. I asked the question, I'm still not sure why you just don't always keep this on. I'm not 100% sure. But as of right now, our middle scale, that's where we want to be. And now I'm going to go ahead and scan the upper arch. Only I'm going to make it easy on myself, and I'm going to scan it like this. Okay, now I'm going to intentionally not scan the interproximal contacts. So I'm going to go ahead and turn my scanner on. Wrong button. There we go. Use the right button. There we go. Okay. Again, intentionally, I'm not going to scan everything I need. Why am I doing that? Well, because I have my margin, and my margin is what's most important to me. And this patient might be a bleeder, might be a salivator. The tissue, it might be a little deeper, and you scan that in. And if you go to scan the interproximal contacts, the tissue might collapse and ruin your margin. So before I do that, if I'm concerned about any one of those three things, blood or saliva in the sulcus or tissue collapsing, I'm going to come into my tool that is lock surface. And what I'm going to do with this tool is I'm going to say, keep everything within this circle the same, but go ahead and add new information, such as that interproximal, this side of the prep, although I still have a clean margin, but it will add information too, but it will not change what's already there. So if the tissue collapses, if the patient salivates or whatever, and the sulcus is not clear anymore, it doesn't matter. And that is a really, really important feature when we start talking about day-to-day dentistry in less than ideal circumstances. All I have to do now is turn my scanner back on, by clicking the correct button, of course, which I thought I did, which I didn't, of course. There we go. So now I'm going to go ahead and take a little more time, capture those interproximals, make sure I get all of my good information here. And I know, scanning a model is not the same as scanning the mouth. But what I will say is this is a trick that I learned a long time ago, scanning interproximally, is to turn that scanner on its side and do that. And it works very, very well in the mouth. In fact, there's not an interproximal contact that I haven't been able to capture. Okay, the other thing I can do with the scanner, I am able to come in, and now that this is all captured, my interproximals, my margin, everything's good, I'm also able to come in and take two-dimensional pictures of the prep for reference to the laboratory. Okay, and that will now be part of the record. Another nice feature of that software. Let's see, what else? We can check for cutbacks. If you had a bridge, we could go in and check for cutbacks. If we had, let's see, what is this one? If I scanned the upper and lower in the wrong positions, I can swap them. I didn't, so that's great. I can come in and smart data cleaning, it'll clean it up for me. I can mark a margin. Let's go ahead and mark a margin. So if you want your lab to be able to see the margin, then what I can do is come in. First of all, I'm going to mark the area where the margin is. Okay. And then, did that not save that? It didn't save that. Sorry. I need to click a different button in order for that to save. So there you go. Now it's saved. Now, as I go next, I am able to take those. Basically, I'm doing my intersect. I'm getting rid of my proximal or my adjacent contacts, and I can come in and really zoom in on this margin now. That's what that first step was all about. So you can see the slider, that little black line above. You can see how it's like showing me where on the curve I am. And again, I'm just doing this quick. You know, you guys, if once you get your scanners, you can come in and play with this all you want. I'm just going to go quickly around here. Just try to show you that it's kind of following me around also, which is a good thing. And there's my margin. And so that's going to go to the laboratory also. That's it. Pretty simple. So now I have interproximals. I have my shirt continuing to ride down on me. Apologize. My margin line. I have my data that I need to send to the laboratory. And I'm done. Now, again, I haven't done the opposing. I haven't done the bite. I'm not going to, because you've seen what that looks like. I'm going to click complete, because this is another really nice feature of the software. Do I want the software to fill in holes or not? So if I say, go ahead and leave it as is, it will. Or I can say, go ahead and fill in those major holes. I can also say, hey, I want you to fill in those major holes. I also want to have a hollow model, and I also want to have a minimum base height of 5 millimeters. And I'm going to go ahead and say confirm. And now, when I go to that home screen, I'm going to have a hollowed model that's already done for me, which is amazing. So as we come back to our case box, this is processing right now. So it's basically uploading, processing, and being saved. By the way, there is a misconception out there that you cannot scan unless you have an internet connection. That is not correct. Okay. So you can scan even if you don't have an internet connection with the Medit. But to save it, you have to have an internet connection, but you can scan without it. So I just want to make sure that's out there, because there's some misconception about that. And there you go. I mean, that's that's the software for the most part for crown and bridge. And then we send it off to the laboratory. You can choose from all sorts of different laboratories. Pretty much any lab will accept this, and it's a piece of cake. So let us go back to our presentation. Cute doggy. All right. Next slide is our conclusion. So, in conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, Henry Schein wants to buy you a scanner and a 3D printer. This is called our Flex program. Last year, we rolled it out with great success based on incremental growth in your practice, incremental spend to us. So if you're not a Henry Schein customer, if you start purchasing your supplies with us, on dollar one, 10% of your growth is going to go to the payment of a scanner. Meaning, if you spend $1,000 a month with us, $100 will go towards the payment of a scanner and a printer. If you're $5,000 a month, $10,000 a month, you could get up to $1,000 a month towards the payment of a scanner and a printer. And with the cost of the Medit being an entry-level price but a premium product, you're getting a fabulous product, and you can add a 3D printer and be much less than it used to be. So keep that in mind. I won't belabor this too much. If you're a good Henry Schein customer already, let's say you're doing clear aligners in your practice. If you switch to Henry Schein Orthodontics Reveal, which is a fabulous product also, average case is around $1,000 lab fee, then you get 10% of that, $100 towards the payment of a scanner. So keep that in mind. Please reach out to your local representation, or please schedule an appointment with me. This is what I do day to day, is demonstration. I would be very happy to meet you, speak with you, learn about your practice, and try and find out, hey, is the Medit right for you? Do you want something else? Do you need something else? But the Medit's a great fit. But let's figure that out together. Let's talk about your practice. Let's talk about what you do, what you want to be doing, where you want to be technology-wise, and I can help you get there. I also have counterparts all across the country. There's 12 of us that do the same thing. So we are here to advise you on your technology purchases. And again, with Henry Schein helping purchase it, it's fabulous. And so who's excited? I'm excited. My dog Toby is excited. That's Toby giving you a high five. And with that, I will leave you. If you enjoyed today's webinar, feel free to like it. If you felt it informative, please feel free to subscribe. And that way you can get informed about future webinars. And if you want to, I have had a couple others that I've done that are scanner comparative reviews. Thank you again for your time. I really do appreciate you joining today, and I hope this was educational for you.
Thank you so much, Matt, for sharing your knowledge and insights on the new Medit i700, and super cool to see it in action live. Everyone attending tonight will receive the recording via email in the next week. And of course, if you're interested in attending any other future Henry Schein webinars, visit henryscheindental.com/webinars for our upcoming schedule. Thanks for joining us. Have a great night.